So over the past 2 years, I've generated over $4 million online in pure sales from selling digital products. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can do the same. And there's one thing we need to address here. Now, the number one reason so many of you watching I held back from ever making a cent or even $1 online, it's not because of your work ethic, it's because of your know-how. You know how to do so. And the other biggest denominator between why an average person like myself has done $4 million online in sales is because I took action, okay, and you haven't. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into exactly how I've generated over $4 million in sales online through selling digital products. Now, as you can see, nice and clear right here, we've got our Miro board up, and I guess we'll just start off with this, okay? So 4 mil digital products. Okay, there we go. Now, first things first, let's identify exactly which digital products I'm speaking about, because look, there's multiple different digital products. You can sell PDFs, you can sell coaching. So primarily speaking, what I sell is online coaching, consulting / services online. So that can range anywhere from business opportunity. So in the space where I am, we call it BizOp. Okay, so BizOp. You can go ahead and sell fitness. So you can sell fitness coaching. Take, for example, some of the largest fitness influencers in the space. I know there's people like Alex Eubanks. He's just one who comes to the top of my mind. So basically he sells like a coaching service where he helps people get in shape, whatever it is. I don't know the ins and outs of his fitness coaching, but you get the gist, okay? So people like Alex Eubank have digital products that need to be sold. People like Iman Gardzi or Alex Hormozi have business opportunities that they need to have sold. And where someone comes in, like us, like myself, it's what we call a remote closer. I like to also refer to it as a digital middleman, because you're just pairing up the consumer to the main source, which is, the online owner, the online business owner. However, it gets a little bit even deeper here. So you can even sell, relationship coaching. If a male or a female has a relationship that's falling apart, a marriage that's falling apart, you can sell relationship coaching. Yep, you get the gist, it goes pretty deep. This can honestly range from a wide variety of different services and products. You can even sell SaaS, so software as a service. So as an example, this Miro board that I'm currently using, they might even have a SaaS, like enterprise software behind it, where founders can pay X amount, large amounts of money for their whole team to use this without doing individual subscriptions. So this right here is exactly how I've generated $4 million in online sales from selling digital products. Now, I haven't made $4 million in my own pocket, right? I've made that for the business owners. It would be nice if it was in mine. However, I've made multiple six figures in the process of doing so. Okay, so as a digital middleman, as a remote closer, whatever you want to refer to it as, selling digital products online, typically speaking, when you sign people up, an interested customer up to the program, the coaching or the service that you sell, you get equity out of that deal. So that can range anywhere from 10 to 20% per sale that comes through. However, before we go into the meats and guts around like what this looks like and how you can start personally doing this yourself, we need to take a few steps back here, okay? Now, most people when they get into the space, they're presented with a few different business models that they can get into. The number one, the largest one on the list is by far dropshipping, okay? I'm sure you've all considered doing this at one stage, and even myself personally. My first mentor, the first course I ever paid for was dropshipping, okay? I made over 6 figures in revenue from doing dropshipping. I found out very quickly that it's a bit of a pipe dream, and there's a reason people sell digital products around selling dropshipping courses. It's because that's where the money's made. And that's where someone like myself comes in. I'm the digital middleman, I'm the remote closer behind the business that you speak to, and I make the money, okay? I'm making more than these people doing dropshipping. You've probably considered doing social media marketing agencies, okay? I think we've all considered this. I've personally done this, and I've also made money in social media marketing agencies as well. However, the issue with these two business models right here, they get sold down everyone's throat, okay? Now, it's good for people like me who sell these services. That's how I make my money. However, just generally speaking, it requires so many skill sets in one sitting. It requires you as a business owner, if you're doing an agency, to wear 20 different caps at the exact same time. So as a beginner getting into this online space of making money, if you're trying to do dropshipping, if you want to start your own social media marketing agency, you have to learn all these skills super quick, or you're going to lose all your cash, make no money. And it is possible to make money, like, do not get me wrong, like you can become very, very wealthy and very rich from doing these business models here, but it's not the most productive of your time, because you have to learn so many different skills. Opposed as a digital middleman selling digital products, which I do, you only need to have one skill, okay? And maybe a couple different skills that makes you a little bit better and gets you to the level I'm at. And over the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to explain how to get into, being a remote closer and selling digital products. But I want to take a few steps back and sort of talk about my backstory for a second. So before I got into entrepreneurship, before I started selling digital products online, I've done multiple different jobs. I was in hospitality at one point. I worked in an office. Jesus, I hated that. I was a construction worker. I was an apprentice carpenter. I did plumbing. Man, I did so many different jobs. I was so lost. The only purpose I had was martial arts, going to the gym, and drinking on the weekends to forget about my shitty reality and my shit existence. And it sounds pretty harsh, but it's just the truth, right? I was doing degenerate stuff to escape the not so great reality I was once in, okay? And that's when I came across dropshipping, this business model right here. And as funny as it is, everyone gets sold into this business model first. I feel like everyone who wants to make money online, the first discovery you make, thinking you're Captain Cook, is dropshipping. Like, you're not Captain Cook. You're not the first one to discover this business model. Think about it. If everyone else is discovering it and they think it's a new thing, you're competing with so many people and you're going into a saturated market where you have no skills to even compete with the saturation. It makes no sense. I did 6 figures in revenue, about 25, 30K profit, but it wasn't a livable amount and it wasn't the most lucrative, profitable thing you could be doing, okay? And that's when I came across remote closing, selling digital products, okay? So, funny story how this happened. Now, there was a person in the dropshipping space that sells a dropshipping digital product, and I followed him on Instagram, long story short. He made a job post on his Instagram story looking for people to sell his digital product. And I was like, all right, this looks interesting. Maybe I could position myself so I could learn more skills to get better at dropshipping and make more money with e-commerce. So long story short, lo and behold, I got the job to be an appointment setter to sell these digital products. And from that point on right there, the rest is history. I could go on a 10, 20-minute story right here, but I'm not gonna waste your time, all right? Because I appreciate and respect everyone's time. So yeah, long story short, the rest is history, and I've now done over $4 million in digital products, selling digital products, and I've made multiple 6 figures in profit, putting in my bank account. And that didn't come from doing a dropshipping store. It didn't come from running my own social media marketing agency. It came from learning the one skill of sales. And not only that, selling digital products as a remote closer, putting yourself in a position where you can only focus on one skill, right, which is great. You're also putting yourself in a high level environment where you're around 8 to 9 to 10 figure entrepreneurs. So you're putting yourself in the highest leverage position you could ever be in, okay? Just for some perspective, when you're trying to run your own dropshipping store, when you're trying to run your own agency, you're not really providing anyone value, okay? You're just trying to learn skills and you're just a little fish among a bunch of great sharks. And I don't want to scare you off from doing an agency or dropshipping, because be my guest, you might waste some time. However, when you're putting yourself in a position where you're a remote closer and you sell digital products for these people selling the courses, you're learning the skills every day. Not only do you learn sales, but you also learn how high-level entrepreneurs operate. You learn how systems work, you learn how fulfillment is done. So you learn all the skills you need to learn to run your own agency, to run a successful dropshipping store without doing it and wasting a bunch of money and wasting a bunch of time. And as a byproduct from learning the skill of sales, you also get paid in proportion to the value you provide. So let me give you an example. Now, when you're focusing on one skill and you're putting 100% of your energy into that one skill, the equation of your energy going into that one skill is going to pay you a large proportion of the money you're looking for in comparison to trying to put 5% of your energy into 20 different skills at once. You're not going to get paid in proportion to the value you think you might provide. Because number one, you have no help unless you buy a course. Number two, you don't have any experience. So you're competing with people with 10 to 15 years of experience who are just going to eat you alive in this market. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you don't have the next big idea. You just do not. And even then again, if you have a fantastic idea or an idea that you think is fantastic, you still don't know how to sell that idea. So the number one skill I tell anyone coming into this online space is you need to learn how to sell. And this is the exact same skill set I teach all of my guys to help them land their first roles, get connected with 8, 9, 10 figure entrepreneurs on a day-to-day basis so they can start making their first sales online too. Now, not only has selling digital products put me in a position where I can travel the world, make money on my terms, work on my own schedule, I have all the perks of being a business owner without the business, okay? But instead of talking about all these numbers, right, the exciting stuff, I'm going to tell you service level value, right, on how this works, okay? So right here, this is the business owner, okay? Look, I'm not an artist, I'm doing content, okay? So this is the business owner right here. So biz owner, okay? Biz owner. So this is the business owner right here, okay? And now the business owner they have their course, okay? Or their services, or their consulting, whatever it might be. So they have their course here, and they have their acquisition channels, so like their marketing, which could either be Facebook ads, it could be YouTube content like I'm making here, it could be Instagram content, it could be YouTube advertisements, it does not matter, okay? So they have their acquisition channel, and in order for them to sell their course, they need leads, okay? So leads is just people who are interested in the services and the course that these business owners offer. So we'll write that in, so leads. Okay, now the reality is the business owner up here, they have their course. The reality is they can't sell all these leads. So that's where we come in as a remote closer, selling their digital product as a sales rep. So just to make this simple, this arrow here, this represents marketing. Okay, so this is marketing to get the acquisition in, get the leads coming in. Okay, look, this is horrible, I know. Just pretend that says marketing for a second. And as a sales rep, this is where we come in, a rep. Okay. Now, for example, the business owner might be spending $500 to even $10,000 a day on advertisements. And if this business owner has 50 leads coming in wanting to speak to the business owner every single day, the business owner just can't take that on, because there's just no time capacity for a business owner to sit there by himself, talk to everyone who's interested in the services and the coaching, and close everyone. Like the business owner cannot do that. It's impossible, okay? So this is where a sales rep comes in to sell the digital product. So the leads come in, us as a sales reps here. As a rep, we call the leads, or the appointment setter calls the leads, or the leads just book into the calendar automatically. And this is where we have a sales call, okay? So we hop on the sales call, we run them through the ins and outs, we ask them strategic questions, okay? Like psychological strategic questions, which is quite easy to learn when you have the right people around you teaching the right materials and they give you the right resources. So you just have a conversation with the person who's already interested. So you're not trying to overly convince someone to buy the course or the coaching. You just have a conversation whilst asking strategic conversations, okay? Now, as an example, we get to the end of the conversation, we get to the end of the Zoom call or the phone call, and let's just say, for example, the price of the coaching is $10,000, okay? Now, once we sign the person up and they pay us the $10,000 for the course and the coaching, we either get a 10 to 20% commission fee. So that could be obviously $1,000 for 10% commissions, or it could be $2,000, okay, depending on your commission structure. Okay, so that is how, as a sales rep, you can make, I don't know, like 5 to 30K a month, pretty damn easy. So you sell a 10K package and you can get paid anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 for an hour of your time. So rather than being a 9-to-5 worker making $30 an hour, you're now making $1,000 an hour for your time. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the surface level equation of how I've made over $4 million online, generated $4 million for business owners, and I've made multiple 6 figures, and you can do the maths, like 10% commissions, right? And that's how I've done it. And that's how I've changed my life from being a carpenter, having no idea what I wanted to do with my life, just knowing I didn't want to do a traditional 9-to-5 job, to changing my life, picking my own hours, working my own schedule, and traveling whilst making money doing so. So if you want to learn more about this, you can look at the description of the video down below, and there is another video that I'll give you access to, just comparing some business models and just explaining more about this. And if you want to have a conversation, feel free to get in touch. Always willing to help out. But keep in mind, there's a few crucial steps, okay? The reality is every business model works. Some are more effective than others, like selling digital products, much more effective. But you need to take action, and you need to pick one vehicle so you can get to where you want to go. Otherwise, if you keep procrastinating, you're going to be in your 9-to-5 job for the rest of your life, okay? And I see it all the time.